What's up, guys? Frank Macaluso here from Garageaholic, and today we are going to be working part 2 of DME programming / code resetting. Stand by, it's going to be a good one. Alright, so I got my good buddy Ralph here. Ralph is like a whiz when it comes to any type of FPGA programming, Arduino. This guy's a whiz, and he's a huge BMW fan, so I'm proud to have him on this project. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be checking out to see if we can auto reset the codes in the DME. Now, this is just a band-aid to try getting this thing working, because that 2FA4 code is the only code that comes up whenever the car goes into limp mode, and that's not good. So we have to try to figure out a way to automatically reset that code so we can at least drive it and try to iron out any other kinks. So let's work on that today, and then after we're done with that, we're going to try to see if we can try to understand the difference in the power class fault of that 2FA4 code. There's a miscommunication happening between the DME and the CAS unit where it expects a certain power class mode to be set to a certain bit. And there's a mismatch there right now, so it's called incorrect data. And that's what we're seeing right now in this car. And after a certain amount of time, after 60 seconds or so, that code comes up, the engine goes into limp mode, doesn't create any boost. Here is we have the Cobb code reader. We're just using it for reading codes, that's all, right? So we can read the codes. The car is not on. Let's turn it on, right? Position 2, okay? Everything's kind of clicking on. And if you read the codes, cycle up, you'll see that these codes exist. None of these codes that are occurring are causing the limp mode, okay? If we let this thing sit for 60 seconds, and I'll cycle through this really quick, you'll find that that code eventually does come up. So let's wait. And there you go, P2FA4, incorrect data. That is a mismatch between the CAS and the DME. That is the only additional code that comes up that actually causes the limp mode. This one too, for brake light switch and plausibility, also comes up, but that doesn't cause the limp mode. It's always been this guy, and I've done this almost 100 times, so I kind of know what's what. So what we need to do is we need to try to auto reset the codes. So Ralph had developed a Arduino Mega board with a CAN shield on top that basically talks to the Arduino program and the custom libraries that he's developed to actually send CAN messages at 500 kilobits per second, which is the CAN speed of the actual PT-CAN bus. So Ralph, I mean, give me a little bit of what you did here.
Okay, so what we had to do was, we knew we had this incorrect data code with the power class. One of the things that we first needed to understand is, could we reset this code using standard OBD, or did we need something else? So I coded this up to send the 7DF message, which is a standard ECU request to say, hey, I'm going to send service 04 and I want to clear this code. We found that didn't work with this car, so we had to do a further investigation. It turned out that we needed one of BMW's proprietary messages, and we needed to write some custom data to clear that. So through some CAN King action, we figured out what the correct PID was, and I coded it up here, and that allowed us to clear the power class issue.
We have a CAN reading tool exclusive of the actual CAN shield, and basically just reads all the raw CAN data on and all the hex data that's coming out of here. This is all the hex data that's coming out at this car at any given time. Okay, so we know if there's any change in any one of these PIDs or ARBIDs, we can see the actual data that's coming up. We have our Arduino code here that basically simulates the signals that we need. And basically what he's doing is he's sending out a CAN message that we were able to pick up from the CAN message that we were able to read through our CAN reader. So we have our CAN reader, and it read all of the raw data, and we knew what was changing when we reset the codes, the BMW proprietary codes, and we're basically replicating that with this. And this thing is going to be a unit that's going to be able to switch on and off, so you can turn the codes, the automatic code resetting on or off at any given point in time. In our case, if we turn that automatic code resetting off, then that 2FA4 code is going to come back and it's going to put the engine in limp mode. So we don't obviously want that. There was a lot of H codes that were present as a result of trying to emulate that clear DME code signal. And that's a problem that we're trying to look through now. So as it stands right now, Ralph and I have found a way to reliably reset the codes every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds, every 20. However often we want to, we can reset those codes. And that's really, really useful because I'll start the car up for you and show you what it sounds like when the codes are not present. But I can leave it running indefinitely and those codes will never come back and the car will run. Okay, so let's start her up real quick. You can see the boost gauge there. I'll get a little closer. Usually when you race the engine, you can feel it. You can feel that the accelerator is is crisper, it's chippier, it's more responsive, and it also produces the boost that we need on the charge pipe, which is exactly what that boost gauge is measuring. So let's start her up. Whoop, press the start button.
Here we go.
All right, there it goes. All right, nice and chipper. There you go. Like I said, I can leave this thing idling indefinitely and it will always run this way, which is exactly what I wanted. Now this is a band-aid. You need to understand that this is not a permanent solution, but this is a way for us to get this car running, for us to iron out any of the other drivability kinks without having to worry about the car going into limp mode. Now with the switch, you can turn the switch off and then you can understand if there's any real codes that are coming up if your engine ends up running bad because of a bad sensor or something along those lines. That is the important thing, is that you still can turn this module off, that you can always go back to a stock setting, and that's very, very important. So, having said that, we were able to successfully emulate an automatic fault clearing mechanism through the Arduino CAN shield on the Mega. Very, very big win today. Now let's try to figure out if we can do a more permanent solution. So before we go on a test drive with the automatic code resetter tool that we came up with, I wanted to take a second and go through a minor change that we're making to the exhaust. Now we actually are cutting out the exhaust. The existing muffler is gone now, and we started it up and we did not like the way it sounded. So we're strumming up new ideas on what we can do with the exhaust, and I think that what we'd like to do is go with a single or a dual resonator type setup, which will kind of give it a little bit more of a sportier, throatier sound without the backfires and all the annoyances that usually comes with an M54. So let's take a look and see the comparison between the existing E36 M3 muffler and the dual resonators we're going to end up hooking up. So this is the existing E30 M3 muffler that we were using, and this is the dual setup that we have, dual independent. We'll end up taking the tips off of this guy and welding it onto there to make it look good, but I think that this is going to end up achieving the objective of what the customer wants. As it stood before, it was just way too raspy and it was just not ideal. So we're going to end up finding a solution that works for all of us. Alright, so I mounted it up and I did a couple of tack welds just so I can easily cut them off if this doesn't work out. As you can see, I kind of haphazardly put the mount up there, and now I got to space and make room for the second one. The second one is a bit more of a challenge because the way that this barrel comes out is going to interfere with the other barrel. So I got to either cut it here, which I'd rather not do, or try to space it out a little bit more. I use the bolt head in there to space it out, but I need to space it out a little bit more and stretch it. But as it stands right now, I mean, you got to put tips on it. If this is going to work, we got to put tips on it still, and just see how it sounds. I mean, it's really important to make sure that it sounds good. I don't want it to sound too raspy or too groany or just too, as many people have already said, obnoxious on the M54. Fit up the second one here parallel to this and just see how it all fits. So before I get too carried away with things like mounting and tips and things like that, I just want to see how it sounds. I mean, I know that I only tacked some of these areas, so there's going to be some leakage, and I accept that. But overall, if the sound is much better, then I think that we might end up going for it. So let's put it on the ground. Let's give it a start. Let's see what it sounds like.